How y'all doing? This is gssixgun from SRP and all the other shave forums. We're going to do something a little bit different. In fact, there's a lot of controversy about this. What this is normally called is breadknifing. It's a restorative technique. This is not part of regular honing. You should never need to do this on a regular basis by any means. I know a lot of you beginners out there have taken this way too far. This razor is in for restoration, and before I even begin, I have to establish that it has an edge that can actually be honed, that can actually be shaved. What I'm doing is I'm putting on layers of number 700 3M electrical tape. If you look really close, I'm actually splitting the layers so they can come off one at a time instead of all at once. I just overlap them just a tiny bit. That's 2 layers, and we're going to go with 3 layers on there. So right now I have 3 layers of 3M electrical tape on the spine of this razor. These are, again, restoration techniques. For extremely bad razors, extremely bad bevels. This is not an everyday occurrence. It's very rare. I don't know whether or not the camera will pick it up, but if you look, there's some serious damage along the edge here on both sides, and there's no sense in doing a restoration on the razor if that restoration is going to be a waste of time. This is a 25 by 30 power loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look and see how bad that is. Really nice little lighted loop here. You can pick these up pretty cheap. Now there's some serious pitting in this from rust, and there's a good little gouge out of the edge right here. To decide whether or not this is even worth going too much farther, I need to take that out and see if I can get behind the corrosion. Otherwise, all it is a shiny piece of junk that's not going to shave. What I'm going to do, this is a DMT 325, normally used for lapping other water stones. It's also a great restoration. Just a little bit of hand soap, and put just a tiny bit on there. If you could have seen that, you would have noticed it just broke the surface tension and will make the stone, actually the plate, work really well. What I'm going to do is bread knife out the edge. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn the razor a little bit, and the reason it's even called bread knifing is because you put the razor straight down on the stone and you cut like you're cutting through a loaf of bread. First, I'm going to go straight down. I can see everybody cringing at this moment in time. I have news for you. It's a very effective technique. Most people never use it because most people don't restore razors. I don't even use it that often because it's just an extreme technique. But you could also sit here and do circles for hours on end to do the exact same thing. The steel has to come off, there's no doubt about it. By the way, you don't have to bread knife straight. Okay? Say for instance this was a smiling blade, I could bread knife with the little different angle on it and bread knife the smile right back in too. But right now this is a straight edge razor, so we're going to take out those chips and the oxidation and the corrosion, and I'm going to keep the blade nice and even. The trick to bread knifing is not to go behind the problem. You want to go right down to the problem. Your regular honing will take it behind the problem. That way you're not wasting steel. One of the big problems with just honing these out is you waste a lot of steel that way. Sorry, that's just the way it works. Bread knifing it, if you know what you're doing, you're actually going to waste less steel than if you were honing it out. This is totally dull now, as you can see. Totally, absolutely square-edged. Which is what a lot of people say is the problem with bread knifing, is it's really hard to bring these back. I'm also going to round that heel off a little bit. See the angle on the blade now? Because I made it really sharp. I'm going to kick that up and I'm going to round that heel in. as I go, so I'm not going to have a heel problem later. When you start taking off a lot of steel, you'll end up with a hook on the heel. And you can correct that by just doing it this way, right here on the DMT. I'm also cutting back the shoulder just a little bit. So I'm going to do that. Recontour the entire heel there. Okay. We're getting close to it. I'm down to, I would say, about 1 millimeter away from the back of the problem. I'm going to get a little bit closer. I'm going to get closer to about the front of the problem, which will leave about a half a millimeter. And I'm still straight down, bread knifing. Okay, there we go. We just got into the front of it. Okay. I'm very, very close to pulling all of that bad edge out of there. And you just have to keep doing it slow. Okay, so now I have a totally dull razor. I'm going to round the heel a little bit more. Recontour the heel a little bit so I don't run into a problem when I start honing. What I'm doing is cutting back that shoulder just a touch right there. Right down, right here on the edge of the shoulder, I'm cutting it back and recontouring the heel into a nice slant round heel, the way it was to begin with. Okay. Now the trick, how to do this effectively. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bread knife more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the edge approximately to about a 60-degree angle. And I'm still bread knifing, but now I have a little bit of an angle on it. And the other side. Same thing, about a 60-degree angle is where I'm at right now. And I'm bread knifing and I'm giving it just a slight touch of action also. So I'm going back and forth, but I'm also pushing. And again on the other side, about a 60-degree angle, and I'm giving it just a little bit of honing action along with the back and forth action. What that's going to do is going to start to cut a bevel in there as I get closer and closer to the end of that bad edge. This time I'm going to go to 60 degree, but I'm going to go a lot more honing action than I do bread knifing action. Same on the other side, about 60 degree. Again, a lot more honing action than just bread knifing action, but I'm still doing both. But I've extended that honing action quite a bit now. I really wish I could somehow show you exactly where the bad spot in the blade is. I'm getting very, very close to getting behind it. Now all of a sudden we're starting to get a little bit of an edge. Again, 60 degree, almost total honing action. Just straight back and forth honing. About 60 degrees, pure honing action.